I have compiled 18 summer colorwork patterns so you don't have to. Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and on my channel I love to talk all things knitting, mostly what I'm working on, but today we have a very special summer colorwork pattern roundup. So today we'll be going through 18 summer colorwork patterns that I have found and curated into a lovely little Ravelry bundle. For those of you who are new here, I am from a pretty warm climate. I'm from North Florida, or I currently live in North Florida. So it doesn't get very cold here. It only gets cold for a limited amount of time. And I have been very much into summer knits, summer fibers, modifying patterns to make them summer appropriate. And this colorwork pattern roundup is an example of that. So most of these patterns are fingering weight patterns, just again to accommodate, summer temperatures. That being said, there is one worsted weight pattern, but I do think it could be modified to be DK, and depending on the fiber type, it could be comfortable for summer. If you've been here before, you all know I'm a huge fan of a scrappy project, and this is kind of why I'm such a champion of colorwork, is because you can use a lot of different scrap yarns in the accent color. Some of these accent colors really have a very small yardage estimate, so you could get just a single skein for your contrast color or your accent color, and then work from stash for the rest, or vice versa. All right, with that being said, we might as well get into it. I'm going to start with our fingering weight patterns. And the first one up is the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. I have made this project before. It is a very popular project. It has 2,979 projects on Ravelry. So it's a very, very tested, very vetted t-shirt pattern. This one is originally a t-shirt pattern. It is knit in fingering weight yarn on 3.25 millimeter and 3.5 millimeter needles. My version that I made is in the Rowan Summerlight 4-ply cotton yarn in the color Pepper Pot for that main color, and then the Hedgehog Fiber stock in the color Love Letter for my contrast color. I just love the round yoke, sort of like Icelandic looking flower motif. It's a really beautiful, really kind of like meditative kind of knit. Again, I can attest to how much I enjoyed working this one since I have made it. I haven't made all 18 of the patterns that I've picked out today, but I can attest to how fun this one is. It has a beautiful little lace detail around the neck. You do a little bit of lace before starting the colorwork chart, and I think that's just a nice touch. That lace can also be included on the bottoms of the cuffs or the sleeves, and I just feel like it adds to that sort of beautiful floral motif. I think she did a great job, sort of using such a symmetrical, balanced motif around that round yoke. Next up is another pattern by Caitlin Hunter. Actually, the first three are all by Caitlin Hunter. The next one is the King Salmon Light. This is another fingering weight sweater. It is knit on 2.75 and 2.5 millimeter needles. My version is knit in Tin Lena in light blue for the contrast color, and then Campione cone yarn from Cone & Fiber in Portland. I mentioned this in my last knitting podcast. I showed that t-shirt. I'll show it again here. It was such a fun knit. I had this on my to knit list for a very, very long time, and it was just as satisfying as I had hoped. It is very small needles, but I mean, the colorwork chart is so much fun, and then after that, you just kind of chill out and do stockinette. It does take a little while, but if you just commit to it and, get through it, it goes pretty quickly. This one has 285 projects on Ravelry. I feel like this probably has a lot less because there is also a regular King Salmon pattern that's a DK weight, and so I'm sure a lot of people are not opting to do the fingering weight. But for the sake of a t-shirt, I would highly recommend a fingering weight over a DK weight. It's going to be more comfortable to have 2 layers of yarn fabric in that round yoke. This one is also knit top down, and it does have a round yoke construction. And the original is intended to be a long sleeve, but again, it is very natural where the end of the fish chart cuts off. It makes a really comfortable like sleeve length, depending on your yoke depth. Again, I would maybe lean for a smaller size potentially than the one recommended, just so you can ensure your yoke depth makes more of a comfortable t-shirt length as opposed to like a slouchier sweater kind of yoke depth. But yeah, this one is easily modifiable to be a t-shirt. I did that with mine. And frankly, I think it's really fitting to be a t-shirt pattern. Like the fish is so, especially in the color scheme that I picked with the light blue, it's really a summery kind of look. Next up, we have the Me Serena by Caitlin Hunter. This one I have not knit, but I've seen a sample in my local yarn store and it's truly just gorgeous. This one is knit on 2.75 and 3.5 millimeter needles. It has 2,678 projects on Ravelry, so this one is also a very vetted pattern. This one is originally a t-shirt pattern. It's kind of a slouchier t-shirt with longer sleeves a little bit. And it has both lace, cables, and colorwork. So if you're like a Renaissance man, if you will, like jack of all trades, and you want to have a summer colorwork t-shirt that is not only summer colorwork, but also lace and cables, this one is your go-to. This one is another in the round circular yoke. But if this one will be a little more engaging because while you're working the stranded colorwork around, you're also working cables on the breaks in between the colorwork motif. This one is more of a geometric pattern similar to the Alpine Bloom. It's probably a little more meditative to knit, something that you could probably memorize like each row of the chart more comfortably. The King Salmon was definitely like I had to follow it pretty closely, but I would assume that these kind of symmetrical, meditative kind of geometric patterns are going to be more comfortable to just kind of knit right through them. Okay, that was all for the Caitlin Hunter patterns. I just figured we'd start with them since she is very popular in the colorwork realm. Next up, we have the Melville by Sarah Beth Hall. This one is knit on 3 millimeter and 3.5 millimeter needles. It has 53 projects on Ravelry and it's knit top down. And it is a raglan construction. So I love this pattern because of the whale. It's so amazing. It's called Melville from Moby Dick, Herman Melville. So I also love that. Patterns that reference books. But this is just a work of art. Like this chart is incredible. The chart for the front and the back are different. There's a whale on the front and then this repeating wave motif on the back. And while I do think this is totally appropriate for a sweater, I do think that sort of cutting the raglan off at the underarms and making it a t-shirt would also be appropriate. I would probably just maybe shorten the raglan depth again so your colorwork starts a little bit sooner. It looks to me like you work the raglan plain and then whenever you split for sleeves, that's when you start the chart, which is a pretty gigantic chart. It's a lot of rows. You have to fit a whole whale on there. So yeah, I would probably also shorten the yoke depth just so it hits at a comfortable t-shirt length, but then your chart is kind of starting in this section instead of like the lower stomach. This one I was trying to come up with like other color ideas, like what I would maybe want to do besides a sort of nautical blue color and a cream, but nothing works as well as that blue and the cream color. So not to say that you're obligated to use this color scheme if you make this pattern, but that's what I would do. I think it just suits the sort of like design the best and it almost looks like a illustrated book cover, like a etched book cover, like a two color etched book cover. So I love this design. I'm glad that people are making it. It's pretty nerdy. It's pretty niche. And that's the one thing about summer colorwork or colorwork in general that I've found really exciting is that like it's such a niche look. Like you could make a tank top that's really clean, but if you wear like a shirt to work that has a whale on it, you're gonna have a conversation piece. So love the Melville by Sarah Beth Hall. That's definitely in my long-term to knit list. Next up is another one by Sarah Beth Hall. We're keeping on the nautical fishing fish theme. It is the Lure Me In by Sarah Beth Hall. It is knit on 3 millimeter needles and 3.25 millimeter needles. It only has one project on Ravelry, which I'm kind of shocked by since it's adorable. And I would highly recommend checking out that one project on Ravelry because her color scheme is so cute. Her Ravelry username is Gorgaphone. But yeah, she used Tin Lena in their red color and then this light blue color for the base. And it just makes those fishing lures pop so much. She also did piping for the neckline and sleeve cuffs. So she modified it as well to make it a short sleeve, which is kind of how I got the idea to modify this top, is that the original is a long sleeve top. But this person did such an amazing modification that I was like, well, this is added to my list. Um, this one is another one where your contrast color is going to be quite a bit of yarn. It looks like the design starts like at the upper kind of breast section and goes all the way to the bottom. So you're going to have a lot of contrast yarn. It's not the same as some of the other ones I've showed where you could probably get away with one skein of the contrast color. But yeah, I feel like we need to band together and make some of these lure shirts and contribute to the project count on Ravelry, because this is such an amazing chart that it needs to be celebrated. It needs to be demonstrated to the world. So yeah, this one is also top down. It's a raglan. Again, you can cut the raglan off early, and then obviously don't do sleeves, and then it's a summer t-shirt. And I feel like if you knit the entire thing in something like Tin Lena, it would be so breezy and soft and cooling. Even with the sort of like double stranded section, I still think 2 strands of Tin Lena. I've made summer garments in 2 strands of Tin Lena, and it was perfectly comfortable. So yeah. The other kind of pro in terms of summer color work for these 2 patterns, the Lure Me In and the Melville, they both don't have the color work on your chest, neck, armpit area. While I do think that it's fine regardless, especially it depends really the most on what yarn you use. But I feel like putting the color work band down here, sort of in the like the midsection area, is going to be it's going to feel less heat trapping, because I feel like I feel heat trapped the most around my upper chest and armpits. And so if all the color work is down here and your, upper chest and armpits have room to breathe, I feel like it could be more comfortable in really hot weather. Next up, we have the Allie's Tea Light by Sarah Opie. This is knit on 3mm and 3.5mm needles. It has 55 projects on Ravelry, and this too is a top-down raglan construction. This one is intended to be a t-shirt, so you can just follow the pattern as is. It also has a really beautiful sort of contrast color piping for the neck and arm cuffs. That's something I might implement on more of my summer colorwork patterns. I haven't done that yet, but I think it's a really clean look. This one is the first fully geometric pattern that I've picked. I like a lot of representational color work. I'm a painter, specifically a figurative painter, like a portrait painter. So I like, color work with animals and flowers and stuff on it. But this one really caught my eye just because when I was sort of looking for fingering weight color work patterns, this one jumped out. I feel like the original samples color scheme of that cream and like foresty green is awesome. And I think that her pattern photos kind of add to that vibe. Like it's like a lakeside summer camp, green trees kind of vibe. Like I love it. I honestly, if I made it, I would maybe replicate that color scheme. Um, Same thing with this one as well. The colorwork band is down here at the bottom, so it's not on your chest, and I think it would be really breathable. This is a pretty cropped t-shirt, so that kind of adds to the summer ability. You can wear it with high-waisted shorts or like have a little bit of midriff out, make it a little more airy and breezy. But yeah, I feel like this chart is probably really sort of hypnotic when you're working it. You kind of get it down, especially since it's symmetrical both lengthwise and widthwise. Like both axes are symmetrical because it's just diamonds. So yeah, this one's another one on my list. Next up is the Darling Top by Bailey Baird. I think this is the only tank top. But it's so cute. I've seen her darling sweater, and it's that same kind of bow motif. So I was kind of ecstatic when I saw it in the tank top version. This pattern is knit on 3mm and 3.5mm needles. It has 9 projects on Ravelry, and it is also knit top down, believe it or not. I thought it was going to be a bottom up construction, but you start with those straps and then I think you cast on and then work in the round that little bow pattern. The reason I was so excited about this one, A, because it's a tank top, but B, because there's such good scrap yarn possibilities with this. There is particularly one project on Ravelry that has 4 different colors for the bows. So she kind of like alternated each band of bows as a different color of scrap yarn and the base color is white. And I feel like if I were to make this top, I would do the same thing. Just because it would be such small amounts of yarn needed to make each band of bows. And I feel like if you made every band a different color, it would be so much fun, so summery. So this one I'm holding off on until I've accumulated enough summer scraps that I have enough to make both the base color and the different stripe sections. But yeah, this one is just so adorable. And it's so clean too. Like the contrast color being used for all of the edging along the armholes and the neckline. I think that's probably an I-cord. That's probably what I would do, is like an I-cord for the edges, just to keep it clean. And then of course the ribbing at the bottom is the contrast color as well. So yeah, Darling Top by Bailey Baird has been something that has been catching my eye. Also doesn't have enough projects on Ravelry. We need to get in there and fix that. Next up, I've talked about before in my last podcast. It is a work in progress right now, but it's the Cake Crop by Olga Putano Designs. This one is knit on 2.75 and 3.5mm needles. It has 67 projects on Ravelry, and this one is the first one that's knit bottom up. So you start with the either fisherman's rib or corrugated rib. That's a modification that a lot of people make with your 2 different colors, and then you work the colorwork chart up. So again, it's another band of colorwork in the midsection area. And then I believe that you split it and work flat for the top because the 2 like butterfly motifs around the V-neck are intarsia. So there's stranded colorwork and there's flat colorwork with intarsia. So this one is a little bit more advanced, I'd say, but the overall effect is just so lovely that I think it's worth gaining some new skills. It has this amazing like fleur-de-lis kind of pattern for the main body, and then these 2 butterfly, like swirly butterfly motifs that kind of connect in the center. In my version, I am using La Bien-Aimée Super Sock in the color Pagno and Sosuke for the contrast color, and then a Solare Silk yarn that I also got from Cone & Fiber. It's a cone yarn, holding that couple strands thick. So yeah, again, there are some design considerations to be wary of. People do talk about the fisherman's rib flaring at the bottom, and on certain sizes that fleur-de-lis pattern isn't perfectly centered, but these are all things that you could modify. And I think it's worth it to make such a lovely sort of unique floral pattern, but not so direct. Like it's not as direct as the Alpine Bloom. It's sort of referential of flowers. And again, colorwork down here at the bottom, that's kind of a trend here. I feel like that is a really comfortable way to wear colorwork in the summer. Next up is another one by Olga Putano Designs. It is the Fatherland. This one is originally a long sleeve sweater. It has a round yoke construction, fingering weight. It is knit on 2.75 and 3.5mm needles. And it has 140 projects on Ravelry. So it's a little more popular than the Cake Crop. This one, again, with the round colorwork kind of ending right here, it's a natural one to modify into a t-shirt pattern. So I'm really loving, again, the sort of geometric designs that are then giving way to the flowers. I have a lot of ideas for this one. I feel like anything hand-dyed would be so gorgeous for the contrast color, and then you have a more neutral base. I think it would be lovely. There's lots of good examples of people turning it into a t-shirt on Ravelry. Some people do a different color for the like top geometric part and then a different contrast color for the flowers, and I think that's also really satisfying as well. Next up is the Catnip Pullover by Andrea Rangel. This is a super popular pattern. It has 593 projects on Ravelry. It is knit with 2.25, 2.75, and 3.25 millimeter needles. It is originally a long sleeve, but again, this one, naturally, you could cut it off right here to make it a t-shirt. But I saw somebody in the pattern section that made a raglan t-shirt and then put the cat, modified the cat chart to like remove the increases and everything, and put the cats on the bottom down here. And I had a really good idea. I actually picked up some yarn during my trip to Albuquerque. I picked up um, Jody Long Lino Moda in the color silver. It is like a linen cotton blend. It's a little stiff, but it's really nice. Um, and it's actually DK weight yarn. And I have the idea to make the B top by Petite Knit, which is knit bottom up, and then you do the little tank top straps at the DK weight, but modify the chart for the cat knit to put it on the B top, like make the stitch counts work. Because I have this sort of like, I have this contrast color that I really love. And I feel like in contrast with the Lino Moda, it would make such a cute like cat knit tank top. So I'm hoping to do the B tank top, knit the chart bottom up, do the cats around like the belly band situation, and then have like a little colorwork tank that is sort of a mishmash of patterns because I like to do that. Credit to both patterns, of course. But yes, so I really like this chart. I think it's fantastic. Either way you slice it, if you want to do round and then just cut it off at the short sleeves, if you want to do like that other person in the projects page, where you do a raglan t-shirt, leave the cats at the bottom, or like my idea, do a bottom up tank top with the cats at the bottom. I feel like there's all kinds of ways to make this cat sweater your own. And make it appropriate for summer. This one is something that I've been excited about ever since I saw it. It's just so adorable. Next up in the animal theme, we have Sasky by Sasky & Co. This is knit on 3.5 millimeter needles. It has 313 projects on Ravelry, and it's adorable. It's so cute. I feel like the yoke on this one is maybe a little bit longer. I suppose, again, you could just choose a shorter yoke depth to make it appropriate, but you could go for like a 3/4 length t-shirt and it would be just fine. I know this pattern is in memorial of her late bunny Sasky, so it's just a little sentimental nod to her sweet rabbit, which I'm always a fan of. So yeah, it's got a little bunny pattern motif and then moons and clouds and other things like that. Anything lunar with stars I'm into as well. So yeah, I feel like the original colorwork scheme for this as well is gorgeous. That brown with the white, although it is a little bit autumnal. Maybe if you wanted to sort of summer it up, you could do like a apple green and white, or maybe make the bunnies the contrast, like maybe make the bunnies colorful. But yeah, this one I'm a fan of. It's a really sweet kind of tender sweater, and I think that it would be just as beautiful as a t-shirt as well. All right, and last up in our fingering weight category is the Windflower sweater by Zanette Knits. I follow Zanette on Instagram and her stuff is incredible. There's 2 patterns by her in this video. This one is a fingering weight pattern. It also kind of has a floral motif. It is really asymmetrical. It has like a slanting, almost kind of like circular pattern. It's a circular yoke, so that's probably why. But yeah, all the flowers kind of lean one direction, and so it makes this nice kind of um infinite kind of circle motif. This one is knit on 2.25 and 2.75 millimeter needles, and it has 39 projects on Ravelry. So it's not one of her most popular patterns, but I've seen a lot of beautiful versions with hand-dyed yarns as the contrast color. You could again do something similar to the Fatherland, where you do like the top couple motifs in different colors and then jump to another contrast color for the bigger flower portions. This could also work well as like a 3/4 length if you're into that vibe. But yeah, I feel like it's a really unique shape. It's not like the other ones I've picked out. The actual chart itself is so like asymmetrical. I don't know, but it has so much balance. So I think this one is awesome. I think with contrast like neck, like collar and arm cuffs. It would just be so, so cute. So that was all for the fingering weight patterns. Next up are our sport weight patterns. So our first sport weight pattern is the Celestia top by Zanette Knits. This is the other pattern by her. This one is knit on 2.75 millimeter and 3.25 millimeter needles. It has 112 projects on Ravelry, and it is knit top down. This one is the first all over colorwork. No, the Darling top is all over colorwork too. This is the second all over colorwork pattern. So I suppose you could modify and stop at a certain section in the yoke and then just do the rest plain. But I picked this because of the all over motif. She recommends using Spin Cycle for the contrast color, and while that's definitely out of my budget, it would be gorgeous to have like a just color changing background color and then do your, or a color changing contrast color and then do your background color in cream or gray or beige or something like that. There's lots of projects to look at for this one. And I feel like this is another one where you could maybe memorize the colorwork chart. It sort of starts more clumped up at the top, and then you get into that sort of crisscrossing diagonal motif all the way around. So again, it's top down. Let me see. It's a circular yoke as well. And then you kind of continue the colorwork for the body. This one is designed to be a t-shirt as well. So again, follow the pattern as it says. This one I have had in my queue for a long time. Because I like to use scrap yarn for my contrast color for colorwork shirts, I haven't chosen this one yet just because I do want to do the full body length of colorwork, and I would need to sort of like procure the correct amount of yarn to do that. So that'll hang out in my favorites in my queue. But yeah, this one is gorgeous. Next up is the Perhostenaica by Jenna K. I surely hope I pronounced that correctly. This one is knit on 3.5 and 4 millimeter needles. It only has 13 projects on Ravelry, and it is adorable. It is moths or butterflies. Kind of look like moths to me. And it is originally a 3/4 length, like just past the elbow kind of top. And I'm thinking that if I make it, I'm probably going to keep that just because I feel like the design, like the way that the moths lay, it's pretty horizontal and it doesn't like kind of scoop like the normal yoke does. I feel like it goes a little bit deeper. And I feel like that 3/4 length is kind of accenting that nicely. This one actually indicates two contrast colors, one for the moths and then one for the sort of colorwork details at the bottom of the sleeves and at the bottom of the body. I would maybe not do that, but her version is pretty lovely, so maybe I would. I picked up some Aracenia alga. It's in the colorway Radiance. I picked this up in Albuquerque? Yeah, I picked this up in Albuquerque at Looking Glass Yarns, and I'm very excited to use that for this. That's my plan, is that I'll use that sort of, I'll just get it. So yeah, I picked this up at Looking Glass Yarns in Albuquerque, and this is 65% organic cotton, 23% bamboo, and I'm planning to use this for the moth motif. And then I'm going to use Malabrigo Arroyo for the background. I feel like that will work nicely. Because this is actually wool, this is probably going to lean more of like a spring knit, and because I'm doing the sort of longer sleeves, it's not really going to be like a summer color work. But again, I think if you were to do it in entirely linen, it could be a really nice like summer evening kind of color work look. Next up in our sport weight category is the Equidays sweater by Clara Cecilia. This one is knit on 4 millimeter needles. It has 15 projects on Ravelry, and I am currently knitting a version of it. And it is awesome. Because I bought this pattern, I can say that she has given you so many options in this pattern. There are 4 different colorwork charts. There is a regular horse, there's a unicorn, which is the one I'm doing, and there's a skeleton horse, and then there's a horse with armor, I think, and they're all different, and they all have slightly different like star variations, but they all have the horse like in the same like kind of rearing up stance and in a circle. I saw a version of this done in a t-shirt and it was like this blush background with hot pink horses and she called it her Pink Pony Club tee and I was obsessed. Mine is going to be more a little bit more neutral than that just because I'm working with what I had. But I'm using that same dark brown Solare yarn from Conan Fiber for the base. And then I'm using the Uncommon Thread Cocoon in the color Spumoni. I picked this up special from my local yarn store Fuzzy Goat in Thomasville. Let me tell you the content of that yarn. It's really fuzzy, but it's primarily silk. Yeah, so it's 70% silk and 30% merino wool. It's super lofty, so I can use it at a sport weight gauge. Um, and it's so cloud-like and it has like little tiny flecks of like variation in it that I feel like it's so suited to sort of be my little unicorns. I'm not like a super whimsy like unicorn person, but when I saw that chart, I fell in love and I had to do it. So it's been bringing me a lot of joy. That chart is definitely not the kind that you can memorize. You do have to follow it line for line just because the horses are not symmetrical at all. Um, but it's still super fun. And I'm really excited to have such a bespoke horse t-shirt or unicorn t-shirt. Also, it only has 15 projects on Ravelry. It should absolutely have more than 15 projects on Ravelry. So make yourself a horse shirt. We can all have matching horse shirts together. Last in the sport weight category is the Star Lily top by Stina Sews. This is knit on 3.5 millimeter needles. It only has 9 projects on Ravelry. And this one is knit bottom up in the round. It has crochet details on the edges. So like for the collar and the straps, it has like a crochet edge as well as on the bottom. But you knit bottom up starting with ribbing. So it really kind of cinches to your waist. And then you start stranded color work for the bust section that has this beautiful like leaning lily motif with a star in the middle. It's very beautiful, very balanced, very symmetrical, and I think it's very flattering. Super feminine, you know, it's very hugging, like body forming, shaping, whatever. And a limited amount of color work. So I feel like the amount of yarn needed for the contrast color is probably really small. So yeah, and it's all stranded and seamless. So I feel like at first I thought it was intarsia. Again, I feel like I'd have to buy the pattern to figure out how that Star Lily section works. Like I don't know what she's doing with the floats. Maybe she's just catching the floats all the way around. That might be frustrating. Um, but yeah, we'd have to buy the pattern to investigate. But yeah, so that's another colorwork tank top pattern that I feel like, again, if you did like a sport weight cotton or linen, yeah, I feel like that could be a really lovely look. It may be a little strange because of lack of stretch. I'd have to try it out to see how the ribbing works with the cotton. But I suppose it's okay if it's not skin tight, like as a summer top. You could make it a little more breathable and a little more drapey potentially. But yeah, I think this is a lovely pattern and I'm glad I discovered it. So that was all for our sport weight section. We only have 2 patterns left. We have 1 DK and 1 worsted weight pattern. So I'll start with the DK weight pattern. It is the Prairie Wind sweater by Kathleen Simpson. It has a gorgeous heart, then flower, then heart, then dove motif or like bluebird motif. I'm obsessed. It's so cute. In her pattern photos, she has a t-shirt version originally. So I mean, it is called a sweater. There are long sleeve versions, but I believe that the pattern has a t-shirt option. This is another top-down round yoke situation. When the color work ends, you can just split for sleeves and then be on your way with stockinette. This is knit on 3.75, 4, and 4.5 millimeter needles, and it has 68 projects on Ravelry. Again, I'm a little hesitant to wear DK or worsted weight color work in the summer because that's 2 strands of DK on your chest. but maybe for spring or fall, if you did like a cotton or I feel like Juniper Moon Farm Zoe is a sport that you could maybe modify to do DK. Um, if you went for something linen, just really summer appropriate, I think it would be fine. I just, when I saw this pattern, I couldn't get over the colorwork chart. It's more animals. I love representational colorwork charts. So add this one to your list. It's on my list. And last up, in our worsted category, we have the Butterfly Bloom by Tori Yu. This is, I think, the only colorwork pattern by Tori Yu, and it's another cutesy little butterfly situation. There's been lots of moths and butterflies today. But yeah, so it's got little geometric kind of around the top of the yoke and then butterflies at the bottom of the yoke. She does have a short sleeve version in the pattern photos. It's a really beautiful navy and white version. I feel like I would love to copy that version. So you could totally knit it short sleeve, but again, worsted may be quite warm. It may be a transitional piece, but I had to include it. The Butterfly Bloom is knit on 3.5 and 4mm needles, hence the worsted weight. I feel like you could get away with DK weight at that gauge, honestly. So maybe you could sub this for DK to make it more comfortable, and it has 37 projects on Ravelry. So again, I feel like I tried to choose a lot of patterns that don't have a lot of projects on Ravelry, sort of find some colorwork patterns that are undiscovered. I didn't want it to all be Caitlin Hunter, even though she's so fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I do like to show maybe underrepresented designers here, so I'm glad I was able to showcase some beautiful summer colorwork patterns. Let me know which ones that you've added to your queue. Maybe we could do a kind of like buddy knit situation. The cat knit is coming up for me, so if anybody wants to do the cat knit, I would love to do that with you. All 18 of these summer colorwork patterns I have made in a Ravelry bundle entitled Summer Colorwork on my Ravelry. It is linked in the description below, so you can save it, you can favorite all the patterns, you can see everything I've collected. So yeah, it's all in the Ravelry bundle in the description. If you like this video, leave me a comment letting me know what's on your needles or what you're going to knit next. I'd love to hear from you all and have a chat in the comments. Thank you all again for being here and entrusting me with your time. I will see you all again very soon, and until then, happy summer knitting.